Grammy-winning country star is leaving the genre that made her famous while blasting it as toxic and racist. Singer Maren Morris claims that Trump years exposed the bigoted views of people in the industry. She says, quote, "It just revealed who people really were and that they were proud to be misogynistic and racist and homophobic and transphobic." Morris is also smearing country music fans who enjoy hit songs like Jason Aldean's "Try That in a Small Town." Quote, "People are streaming these songs out of spite. It's not out of true joy or love of the music. It's to own the libs. Music is supposed to be the voice of the oppressed, the actual oppressed." Discussion.
Let's go.
Here we go, Dana.
Yeah.
You know, isn't this classic liberalism where you're racist or you're misogynist if you don't fit her narrative?
Yeah, so she's talking about, she says music is supposed to be for the voice of the oppressed, the actual oppressed. But, I mean, people are playing these songs because it makes them feel something. And that's what music is supposed to be about. And she can write songs about joy, and you can enjoy those, you can play them on repeat, but maybe you like Try This in a Small Town. And who is she to decide who gets to stream a song and if they play it over and over again? You know, oppression for some people might take the form of what's been called the forgotten man, right? And so she's mad about that. And I don't think this is necessarily going to work for her. Now, Taylor Swift, when she decided to blend into pop after country, she kept all of her country fans and grew it. So she wanted to do that, and she wanted to be a big star, and obviously she is. I think Maren Morris thinks that she's going to do the same thing, but I think that she might be surprised because it's not necessarily like that. The reason that country music fans like Oliver's song or Aldean's song is because it reflects their lived experience, and that's what country music is really good at. So I think a lot of people in Nashville would say, bye-bye.
You know, Harold, I think she's the hypocrite here, and I want to know what you think. She's got a song about leaving country music, and yet she's using the country music genre to make that song. She's saying, I want no part of it, but I'll take the money and stay in it as long as I can sing this song.
Yeah, we did a story about, I think it was Luke Combs singing a song that someone sang, Tracy Chapman,
right.
And how people, not Tracy Chapman, but somebody thought that Tracy Chapman would be offended by this because they assumed that the country music world would not have accepted Tracy. This is just craziness. I mean, music is about joy and empowerment and a universal way to communicate. And if this young lady who has a strong theory of the case believes what she believes, she should go write the music and compose the music and sing what she wants. But there's no need to frown on or try to pour gasoline on a toxicity or an entire genre of music. Sure, there are people, I remember when I was growing up, there were people who made rap music, and there were those who criticized it, saying that it was preaching. And there's still people who criticize some aspects of hip-hop, saying that it promotes things that are not positive about women and about communities, and even promoting and glamorizing guns and violence. But there's a big part of hip-hop that does not do that. There's a part of rock. So I think this is just a function of her age, perhaps, and experience in life. And I hope she continues to make music. But let other people make music too, and we all can decide to turn that dial or go into that site, or for that matter, download that song or not. I wish her the best, but I hope she stops criticizing those that make music in other ways.
You know, Greg, she's not only criticizing Jason Aldean, she's criticizing his wife, calling her an insurrectionist Barbie and a scumbag human.
Wow. Insurrectionist Barbie is a toy I would buy. Oh, my God. Insurrectionist Barbie, get on that. By the way, Dana, white people, they can't be oppressed. Are you not aware that every single white person is a millionaire, including in the Blue Ridge Mountains, wherever you go? So the real headline for this, which I wrote, is country star no one heard of gets publicity the easy way by trashing fans and going woke. However, whatever momentary rush of infamy she gets will fade away because no one can trust her. But I like to help. I'm a helpful person, so I rewrote some classic country songs, Judge, so she could sing them without feeling that inner shame. So here we go. So stand by your man, stand by your whatever. Wichita lineman, Wichita Klansman. Mama, don't let your babies grow up to be cowboys. Mama, don't let your babies grow up to be cowboys because they perpetuate the patriarchy, Dana. These boots are made for walking? No, these boots are made for drag queen story hour. And finally, Man, I feel like a woman. Well, you can leave that one as is.
Bravo. Okay, Jesse. You know, she basically says that that country music has a history of misogynism and racism, and it's time to open the gates, you know, to queers and people of color. And I have a whole list of singers here: Little Nas X, Charlie Pride, Darius Rucker, you know, and I could go on and on. I mean, she's like naive as to what the truth is.
I'm still crying over insurrectionist Barbie.
I know.
Pretty good. So my sources in Nashville tell me it's a matter of you can't fire me because I quit. The country music community had not wanted to be associated with her anymore, and she had gone on stage with drag queens, and she had gone woke. She had lost her fan base, and now is trying to transitioning into pop. And I don't think it's going to work out.
Very interesting. You have good sources.
I have one source.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.